like many of you waking up this morning, we're all waking up with hearts still heavy around all the events in Texas yesterday. I know we had a little prayer service last night, and it's still still really hard to hold all that, and really hard to imagine how challenging that is on so many levels, and how many families are waking this morning to a lot of heartbreak. Today, it was interesting, getting ready for today's little 10 minutes of morning calm, and reading through pieces of New Church theology that deal with the story we're talking about, and they actually fit in incredibly powerful ways. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And the actual literal story we're looking at today is very easy to tell, and not nearly as significant as maybe what's underneath it. And it's a basic process, right? We've been looking at the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve are told not to eat of that. They end up eating of it, and everybody ends up blaming everybody else. Adam blames Eve blames the snake. Everybody's blaming everybody in the whole thing, and that's not really what's significant. What's significant about it is this idea of trust, and that's what I really want to talk about today. And the story, the idea of faith and trust, like those two words being one and the same, have to start there, and they literally are oftentimes used interchangeably in the Bible: faith and trust. And why does that matter? Like, why does God consistently talk about this need for trust, and how important and significant that can be? Well, there's a number of levels. The first is just the trust that we don't always we're not always the best arbitrators of good and evil all the time. And obviously events like yesterday were clear, and they're clear places where we can say that's absolutely evil. And we can see times where we overshoot that mark, where people imagine the world a certain way. And I'm thinking, sadly, of the person who chose to take those children's lives. That's a warped view of good and evil, and that's a warped view of who gets to decide who deserves life and who doesn't. And that's where we can see it taken to a full extreme. So that's at one level. We decide to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And then there's another element of trust here as well, which is just even a deeper trust, sort of in the same ballpark, but a deeper trust. And it's just where we have to remember to trust God and to trust each other. And that really matters, because let's look at it from what the opposite is. So what happens when we stop trusting? We stop trusting that the world is a good world. We stop trusting other people. We stop trusting that there's a God who holds it all, even the really broken places, and holds them with a tenderness and with tears and with all those things. When we stop believing that, what are we left with? Well, we're left with a world that keeps on getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. When I was, getting ready again for this morning, one of the cautions that Emanuel Swedenborg offered, theologically from a Christian perspective, is that as that trust in God and trust in other people decreases, this is really significant. So is our ability to love others. That's really interesting. So trust goes down, and it's easy to think, well, it's just trust. No, it's more than just trust. When trust and faith and God and other people go down, so does our ability to be loving. And I think we all know that when you are in an environment where you simply don't trust other people, where you don't trust those around you, you don't trust the community you're embedded in, you don't trust, you don't trust. What do you end up with? Well, you don't end up more loving, that's for sure. You end up more guarded, you end up more protected. And as he goes on to say in this little section he was writing about, you end up becoming much more skeptical and much more cynical. And those are very clear temptations, and they are temptations. They are very appealing. I think at times like this, and that's not what God's calling us to. I think it's a pretty basic choice. We can choose to, as best we can, to think of Kipling's words here, with broken tools, continue to rebuild very humbly, doing the best we can as God gives us to see it, really trying to do that and coming at that from a faith. And it's not like just a blanket faith or trust. It has a gravitas to it. It has a seriousness to it that we just trust that God is holding all of this in some way. And I just want to be so careful in saying that, because I think God really, when we say God trusts and God holds it, it's not that God plans it or God's like, oh, this will be a lesson for people. That's oof, heaven forbid. That is just not true. God's holding is a holding out of love, and it means that love is present even in times like this. And I want to say that again, that love is present even in times like this. And our job is to find that and to continue to move that on. Because if we lose that basic trust, if we lose that basic faith in humanity and in God, in a story that holds us all, we end up becoming really fractured, and every person for themselves, Darwinian survival of the fittest at its worst. And I don't think that's the answer. It's interesting. Again, coming back to when I mentioned it last night, Scarlett Lewis, who she's talked at New Church Live a number of times, done another number of other things with the congregation. For those of you who weren't aware, she lost a child in the Newtown shootings all those years ago. And she consistently talked about this. Her whole point was you have to learn to keep on choosing love. Just it's that simple. And it's that simple, folks, and it's that hard. Days like today are just reminders that really, in terms of the next right thing, in terms of the option before us, that's the option, is to choose love. However that looks for you today, I don't know, but that's what we need to continue to do, because that, in a way, is a testimony to a faith and a trust in a bigger picture, and a bigger holding. Um, we may not understand all these things, and I think so much of it is way beyond human understanding. And maybe even events as horrific as this, maybe they're even beyond God's understanding. I don't know, but I do know this. I do know that love is the ultimate of reality, and that's where we are to consistently lean towards, and consistently work towards, and consistently be in. So that's the thought for on this rather melancholy day. And I'm wishing you folks all the best today, and may you have a day where when the opportunity comes up and you see the opportunity to be community and skepticism, or between choosing love or choosing cynicism, always choose connection, and always choose love as best you can, friends. So that's the thought for today. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little meditation, a little prayer, a little blessing, and we'll say hi to folks on social media. So with that, friends, let's get a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, friends. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to hop on social media. And again, a reminder tonight, we are doing a small group on the book Heaven and Hell. And you're more than welcome to join it. Even if you haven't been to any other ones before, you're more than welcome to join us this evening. So, if you'd like to do that, just shoot me a note. All right, the comments. Comments today. Teresa offers her prayers. Thank you, Teresa. And it is a very somber day. Martha writes, good morning. And good morning to you out there, Martha, out there in Michigan. Great to have you joining us. Marcus, good morning to you. Uh, our job is to stay under love's wings. It's really, really true. And it's, boy, it's like every bit of temptation to not on days like today, right? Sherry writes, as you said, God's heart has to be broken too. And I really do feel that way. Like anybody who tries to explain this stuff as part of God's plan or God never gives you more than you can handle, those kind of things, I don't necessarily feel them that way anymore. Jean writes, feeling such grief. And I would agree with you. We all certainly are. Kim writes, mourning all such sadness today. Definitely a lot of sadness in the air today. And Melissa writes, good morning. Thank you for this daily meditation. Means a lot. Well, it means a lot to me too, Melissa. And thank you for writing that. Just where we all get a chance again to come back and touch base. It's always this reminder, and these events kind of do it, right? They kind of force us back to remember, as what one author said, to keep, this is Gregory Boyle, what Jesus asks is for us to keep first things recognizably first. And I love that phrase. So take care, friends. Wishing you a great day. And as Scarlett would say, may it be a day where you choose love. Take care.